I'd like to thank all of you for coming out this evening. We really want to share with you some information about a new educational alternative that is coming to the Linden, Elizabeth, and Roselle area, and that is the Promise Charter School for Excellence. I would ask that if you have any questions, it's a small group, so I'm willing to entertain questions that go along, but just do keep in mind that some of the things I may answer as we're continuing, so if it's something that you don't think I'll get to, ask it, but if you think I'm going to get to it, just kind of hold off on it. If there's something that I cannot answer, I will certainly get back to you all at a later date, or one of the other board members will get back to you and research it. I'd like to start really by just talking about what is a charter school. I don't want to make the assumption that everybody knows what a charter school is and what charter schools do, so that we're all on a level field. I'm going to start by talking about what is a charter school. The first thing I want to make sure that we're all understanding about charter schools is that a charter school is a public school. We are required to follow the same rules and regulations as the state public schools. Our teachers must follow the same credentials as the state public school teachers. So it is a public school. However, it is operated by parents, organizations, or community groups that are looking to fill a specific educational need within their community. I like to say it's a public school that's privately managed. And that's basically the bottom line gist of what a charter school is. Charter schools, just like the public schools, cannot pick or choose their students. We must admit all students, regardless of their race, nationality, creed, disability, religion. We must admit all students that apply, given we have capacity. If we do not have enough capacity to address all the students that apply, then we must, by law, conduct a lottery. The charter schools that we're talking about here, Promise Charter School for Excellence, has been designed to serve the Elizabeth, Linden, and Roselle areas. However, and priority is given to those students that reside in those districts. However, if we do not meet our capacity with those students from that district, we will entertain students from other districts as well. I mentioned that we are required to follow all of the New Jersey state standards, including the core curriculum standards. So we have to meet the core curriculum standards that are set by the state. We do not have to follow the same specific curriculum that each district follows. So if, for instance, your child is in the Elizabeth School District, the curriculum that we use for language arts or for math or for social studies or science may not be the exact curriculum, but it must meet the core standards. And the other thing that I want to mention about the charter schools is charter schools traditionally have a reputation for having more parental involvement. We really value the parent in the charter school model. We understand that in order to educate the children, it is not something that the schools can do by themselves. It really is the responsibility of the parents to educate their children. I like to tell my parents when I talk with them that the ultimate responsibility for your child's education is with you. The school is nothing more than a tool that you use to educate your child. Just like you take your child to the museum, just like you take your child to on different field trips, you might take your child out to visit another country. You might take your child to the libraries. Just like you use those types of tools, the school is also a tool. And it's up to you as a parent and the one that's ultimately responsible for your child's education to make sure that that tool is doing what you need it to do for your child. And that's where the charter school comes in and the charter school model fits. I want to also start up by saying that When we come in and talk about bringing a charter school to an area, that is not to say that the public school in that district is failing. That is not what we're saying. But what we are saying is that there are some children in that district or in those districts that can benefit from a different model. And that's what the charter school is asking. Just like all of us don't learn the same way, that is true for your children. They don't all learn the same way. And the public school, because of the mass number of children that they are dealing with, the public school system has a specific cookie-cutter model that they use. It works for most of us. I will tell you that it worked for me. I am a product of the public schools, not in New Jersey, but in Philadelphia. And the public school system worked for me. But the public school system doesn't work for every child. And we need, as parents, alternatives. Because like I said, the school is a tool for you. So we need to be able to pick the best tool. And just like when you're getting ready to build a house, sometimes you need that manual drill if you're trying to get it, that manual screwdriver if you're trying to get into a small space. But other times you might need that power screwdriver. That's what the difference between the charter school and the private and the charter school and the regular public schools are. We're just an alternative for you to choose. Now, to tell you a little bit about Promise Charter School, specifically Promise Charter School for Excellence, our vision is for a school that graduates young men and women who are positioned to be a new generation of leaders in our community and in our society, to be a new generation of scholars and change agents that will transform our world. We believe and we recognize that every student is capable of making their lives extraordinary. Every student is capable of academic success through character and leadership development and through knowledge of themselves and others, and with an other-centered view of life, understanding that it's not all about them, but what they do affects others, and what others do affects them. We really, that whole focus and the whole mission that we have on trying to grow these change agents, that's really the basis of Promise Charter School for Excellence. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about the leadership in our school. Yes. Promise Charter School for Excellence was actually established about 2 years ago with a group of individuals that wanted to make a difference in their community. And these individuals got together and talked about what we could do and what really our children needed. And that was the establishment of our vision and our mission statement. After putting that together, we then had to go to the state and take that vision and that mission to the state. Now, everybody can have a vision and a mission, but not everybody's going to be granted a charter. Because the state wants to make sure that before they bring any new school into any area, that there is an opportunity for success. Because they are responsible for the children of this state. And they want to make sure that they're not disrupting these children unnecessarily, because we have a vision. So we had to not only establish our vision and our mission, but we had to show them how we were going to take it from vision and mission to actual application. The Board of Trustees that was put together for Promise Charter School of Excellence included and includes individuals that are familiar with all aspects of ensuring the success of this school. We have individuals that are familiar with educational curriculum systems and educational program management. We have individuals familiar with administrative procedures and how to run a school. We have individuals that have familiarity, I shouldn't just say have familiarity, but are successful in their fields in financial operations and procedures and policies. We have individuals on the board that are familiar with hiring, retaining, motivating individuals that are experts in the field of HR. Our Board of Trustees also possesses good management and organization skills, as well as, effective communication skills. This would probably be a good time for me to introduce the founder of Promise Charter School for Excellence, and that is none other than Dr. Thurman E. Evans. elements for the Promise Charter School for Excellence? Oh, you have it up there? Oh, okay. Wow. Okay. I didn't know that there was up on the board, so I can follow that. Good. Okay. Now I gotta get where I am, where you are. Okay. Okay. So when we looked at what we were doing and why we wanted to put a charter school in place, we looked at some data, because in order to really understand where you're going, where you want to take something, you need to understand where it's at right now. So we looked at the data, we looked at where our students were in the Elizabeth, Linden, and Roselle districts today. And one of the things that jumped out for us was that in 66% of the schools in our districts scored below average on the state exams in language and in mathematics. And 42% of those districts scored below average in science. However, the interesting thing for us was not just those statistics, but also that in those same districts, the same students, sorry, I have my cheat sheets here. Those same students scored above the district, they scored above the New Jersey standards on the 4th grade test. But when they got to the 8th grade test, they were scoring below. And we had to ask ourselves what happened. Because in 4th grade, they're scoring at or above. They were at proficient or advanced proficient on the NJAS test. But by the time they got to the 8th grade, they're scoring below proficiency in those same tests. And one of the questions we asked is, what happened? What happens to our students between 4th grade and 8th grade? And one of the things that we said is, we know they're not getting dumber, so that's not it, but something's occurring between those two grades, and that's what made us decide that we needed to focus on the 6th grade level, the middle school level. One of the things that we felt was that when students get to that middle school level, it's not that they've lost anything. They haven't gotten any dumber. They're just as smart as they always were, but they've lost their focus because we've lost the focus on them. When children get to the 6th grade, in the middle school age, parents and teachers start to make assumptions about what those children can and cannot do, and they're not always valid assumptions. We, as parents, stop checking their homework. We stop asking who their friends are. We stop asking where they're going. Because we think they're grown, and they're not grown. And we recognize Promise Charter School for Excellence, that those children still need us actively in their lives. And they need their teachers to be active in their lives, as well as their parents active in their lives. Sorry. Sorry. I'm probably out of order. So, how do we plan to achieve success? We plan to achieve it through these elements: a high-quality school leadership, highly qualified and well-trained teachers, a rigorous academic program, a strong school culture, and key educational design principles. I'd like to take a minute to talk about each of those, if I could. In the area of high-quality school design, in the area of rigorous academics. But what we see is, first of all, most of the public schools today have a 6.5-hour school day with 6 hours of instructional time. What I hear when I talk to teachers, and also when I talk to students, what I hear is that that's not enough time in some of the individual classes. Students and teachers alike have told me that they just get into a subject and the bell's rung. 42 minutes is about the amount of time that most teachers have in that subject matter. That's why some of the schools have gone to what they call block scheduling for certain subjects like language arts and mathematics, because then they put 2 classes together to make 1. because the 42 minutes doesn't give the teacher enough time to really cover the subject, because it takes about 10 minutes for the kids to get settled down, and then it's another 10 minutes at the end because they're looking at that clock ready to go. So by the time they really get into it, it's time for them to, the class to be over. So at Promise Charter School for Excellence, we're looking at an 8-hour school day, or 7.3 hours of academic instruction. Also, we're looking at an inquiry-based learning system. By that I mean a system where the children can ask questions and not always feel that everything has to be fed to them. We want them to develop critical thinking skills and not be afraid to challenge the teacher. Just because, I know I grew up in the era of whatever the teacher says was right. And as a parent well, my daughter's in college now, but I remember sometimes when I had to go to her school and I had to have discussions with teachers when they weren't right. But the teacher always felt that in some school districts, it's like the teacher's always right. Whatever the teacher says, it's right. And we don't allow our children to challenge those things. We want our children to be able to challenge them and question them, not to disrespectfully question the teacher, but to ask the questions. Because if you ask the question and you challenge it, it makes you think about it, and then you will actually grasp it and understand it. You will have it. You'll have it if you're able to question it and challenge it and then take it through its normal process. Also, we believe in collaborative group instruction. That's bringing different people together, which allows you to bring different ideas together. Having our children work in groups, because also it prepares them for what life is really like outside of the school environment, because as you all know, when you get into the workforce, it's all about collaboration. That's what we have to do in our corporate lives, is working together and collaborating and coming up with the solution. Problem-based learning, again, really looking at something and peeling back the onion, actually developing webs and saying, okay, this is what it is, but where can it branch off from here? This is just one piece of the problem. How do I dig through the problem, peel back the problem to understand? And at that point, when I can take something and actually peel it back to its lowest common denominator, then I really understand it, because I've taken it apart. Character, leadership, and culture infusion. Okay. Dr. Evans always says to us, our great leaders don't fall because they were not smart. They don't fall from grace, or they don't fall from their high platforms because they weren't intelligent people. They don't fall because they weren't great leaders. They fall because they had poor character and poor character judgment. And that's one of the things that we don't want our children to fall into the trap of. We want them to be able to do whether it be language classes, math class, science classes, it will be included in the entire, and self-to-self connections. Really, to instill in these children, we want them to understand that it's not just about New Jersey. It's not even just about the U.S. What happens in Europe affects everything that we do here. And they need to understand that. They need to understand that the world is much bigger than just America. And those are the kind of things that we want to instill in our children. If we look at what a day looks like at Promise Charter School for Excellence, we begin our day for the children at 7:45. For the staff, it begins at 7:30. But at 7:45, we begin our day with a morning assembly. That's all the children in a morning assembly. And one of the things that we will do in that morning assembly is to review our affirmations. Our children need to understand that they can excel, that they are leaders. And that is part of what we need to tell them, and we need to tell them every day until it becomes a part of them. We'll also do the character, leadership, and culture will also be a part of that morning assembly every single day. What we need to do for a lot of our children, especially the children in the Elizabeth, Linden, and Roselle areas, is we need to push out a lot of the garbage that's been fed to them that they can't make it. We need to push that out of their heads and fill that with positive affirmations that they are leaders. They are they're successful already. And we need to put that in their head and push out all those old facts and all those negative things so that our children can succeed. At 11:30, they'll have lunch, 11 to 11:30. Throughout the day, they'll have the standard curriculum, their language, arts, science, mathematics, social studies. But that's after. The school day ends at 3:30 for normal dismissal, but it doesn't really end at 3:30 for our students. It really goes on to 4:30, and that's because between 3:30 and 4:30 is when we will have extracurricular activities, and specifically we will have karate for all of the children at Promise Charter School for Excellence. We feel that the discipline that they learn being a part of the martial arts, and I shouldn't have just said karate, I should have said martial arts because it's not just karate, but the discipline that they learn as a part of the martial arts will really help them in their in all of their endeavors, in not just in school but outside of the school environment. Our teachers, the teacher-student ratio is about 18 to 1, roughly, about 18 to 1. And our teachers will go through an extensive training program as well. As you all know, right now, most teachers are required to do professional development, and it's generally about, I want to say, 100 hours of professional development a year? Yeah, it's generally about 100 hours of professional development each year. At Promise Charter School for Excellence, we are going to require our teachers to have 164 hours of professional development. Now, we will do that through a 2-week summer training session for the teachers that will include training on curriculum development, curriculum assessment, and how to analyze assessment data. Assessment is real important to us and for us because if I don't know where my children are today, I cannot take them to the next level. So our teachers have to understand, first of all, how to observe and how to assess our children, and then once they've got that assessment data, how do I then take that data and formulate my lesson plans within the curriculum to take the children to the next level. So that'll be a part of the summer training that the teachers go through, and also there'll just be extensive professional development that will focus on some of the teachers' individual needs. If we look at the culture for Promise Charter School for Excellence, with our students, like I said, we'd like to develop students that are lifelong learners, critical thinkers, and problem solvers. We want our children to understand that learning doesn't end with school. And learning doesn't only happen in school. That learning is a life process, and it's a lifelong process. We want the culture of our students to reflect the diligent and capable performers that they are, to show that they are really focused on doing the best that they can. The culture of our students will be to be socially and emotionally skilled, to not only think of themselves, but to think of others and be empathetic of other situations. To be ethical thinkers. I mentioned the whole thing with the character and loss and fall from grace. Our children need to understand that ethics is important. Being respectful and a responsible team player. I mentioned a lot of the collaboration that we're going to do, which will help to foster that particular culture. Being self-disciplined and pursuing a healthy lifestyle. That's also part of the thing that we're doing with the martial arts, is having them to understand the importance of their body, and not just maintaining your mind, but maintaining your body is as important to success in life. Because if you are unhealthy, then it is not possible for you to think in the manner that you need to think. Your brain can't function as well if your body is not taken care of. So we need them to do that as well and to be focused on that. We want them to be contributing community members and democratic citizens. Our children will be responsible for community, the word, huh? Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. I wanted to say community hours, but it wasn't hours. That wasn't the word I was looking for. I didn't want to say community service. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you. They will be responsible for community service. As I said, they need to understand that there is a world beyond them, and that giving and helping others does indeed help them. So they will be responsible for community service hours. And also understanding their part in the democratic society that we live in. We want them to be a part of that and to understand the society that we live in. I talked about being an other-centered person, and our children, we also expect them to exhibit the school spirit in their speech and in their dress. One of the ways that we will accomplish that is through uniforms. Our children will be required to wear uniforms. We do not expect our children to walk around the school with their pants half down and speaking in slang. One thing I didn't mention earlier, but I usually say this when I talk about Promise Charter School for Excellence. Children will live up to your expectations. Where you set the bar is how high they'll jump. Too often, the bar is set too low, and that's all they give us. But they are capable of so much more, and we recognize that, and that's why we're going to raise the bar, because we know they can reach it. They can reach it. So we do not expect them to walk around with their pants hanging down, and we will not accept them walking around with their pants hanging down. We do not expect them to speak like they're, hanging out with their friends or at a party, and so we will not accept them speaking that way. Our school culture in terms of staff and parents. I mentioned earlier that parents are a big part of our program. We encourage our parents to volunteer and participate in all of our school functions. To come in if there's a particular tradition that you have in your family, to come and share that with the class. It's all a part of that cultural piece that we're trying to establish with our children. Understanding who they are is important to them. We also expect our teachers to model professional behavior. Our teachers will have a dress code as well as our children. You should be able to distinguish when you walk into school the teacher from the student. And I haven't always had that experience when I've gone into some of the schools. Like I know when my daughter, the high school she went to, and I think it was a great high school, but there were times when I walked in, I wasn't sure who was who, because some of those teachers were dressing pretty much like the students, and that's not acceptable. So we expect our teachers to model the behavior that we want to see reflected in our students. We expect our staff to emphasize the importance of culture, character, and leadership. The events that we're looking at will be planned by the students as well as faculty advisors with some parental input. We are looking at putting together retreats and parent development workshops. So like I said from the beginning, the parents are a big piece of this whole thing, and our success depends on the involvement of the parents, the involvement of the staff, and the students. So it's a triangle. It's a three-pronged approach. Now there were a couple of things. I usually at this point go through all the things I didn't talk about. I didn't mention, and there's one thing that I didn't mention, and that is that I mentioned that we were doing middle school, but I will tell you that Promise Charter School for Excellence, opening in August of 2012, will begin with 6th grade only. Our plan is to add an additional grade each year, so that after 3 years, we'll have all 3 middle school grades, 6th, 7th, and 8th. But we are starting with 75 6th grade students in August. What else did I not say that I normally say? Are there any questions?
Have you selected your students? I see that your schedule set. I think that's a great idea. Charter schools. I was saying to a former mayor, I was working in Newark, and we started out as a private school, and then it went to a charter school.
Oh, okay.
So I was there when they started their charter school at Bethany.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
Have selected your students yet? I mean, have the enrollment began? That's what
Yes, we have begun the enrollment process, and I know it says on the application that the applications end March 28th, I believe it says. We have not received 75 applications at this time, so we are still accepting enrollment.
Okay.
And
how was your the advertisement to the 3 school districts that you're talking about to let parents know that there is a charter school starting, that there is starting with 6th grade? And I think a lot of parents, a lot of people's feeling, as I was saying earlier to Garrett, is that a lot of people's feelings is that you're taken away. But as you said, most people don't understand that a charter school is just an umbrella of a public school. Even though a lot of charter schools that started, some people took their kids out of public school that was probably behavior problems and put them in charter school.
Yes, yes.
And that was,
no, it was, you're right. That's when the charter schools first came out.
Yeah.
That was a lot of it. And a lot of it was because people did not understand what the charter schools were all about. And also, the public school and the public school administrators also didn't understand what the charter schools were all about. So they started suggesting to parents that had behavioral issues or children with behavioral issues that they might do better at the charter school. What happened though was, that in a lot of those charter schools, with those children with the behavior issues, they were able to turn a lot of those children around. Not just because that charter school, not just because that child suddenly became an angel. It's because that charter school had a different expectation for that child.
So you said you have 18 kids to one instructor?
Yes.
Okay. My next question is, how many children have you received so far from the 3 school districts?
I do not have an answer to that question, and our secretary, do you have the answer? Because our secretary is not here.
At this point in time, we have 15 students who have signed up. We have just started the enrollment process.
Yes. We have applications here today. So if you would like an application, we can do that. You can also contact us. Our contact information is via email at PCSFEX, that's Promise Charter School for Excellence @gmail.com, or you can call us at 908-418-7575. If you send us an email or you call us and request an application, we will send one out to you. Or like I said, we have applications available today.
All right, so my other question is if you don't, I mean, I know you've been going from, different little areas to have the community to know that the charter school is going to start. But what if you don't get your 75, as we were talking earlier, that your 70 students, that you would put it out to other districts? But if I live in Roselle and I don't know that the charter school, there is a charter school that's starting, how are you advertising? Are you putting it in the paper, in those parent magazines, or something like that said there is a charter school?
Charter for Excellence. Yes.
For Excellence. Are you doing anything like that?
Yes. One of the things we're doing is we're going to be putting up a billboard soon, so that everyone will be able to see in the general area the information about the Promise Charter School. We have flyers at different events. Is that what you're telling me? Oh, okay, I'm trying to see what you're saying. We have flyers, because we have people that are going to different events and handing out flyers. We are having information sessions like we have here, but we're also going to community groups and having those information sessions in community groups, not just in targeted community groups, I should say. Not just a general information session, but specific targeted groups like, I don't know what the name of that organization is in Elizabeth, a parent organization in Elizabeth that, I forget what is it an athletic perhaps? The youth organization, yes. So
the youth organization that's in Elizabeth. Oh, okay.
Yes. So we're going to target groups and meeting with them as well.
When they reach the 75, is there a waiting list on it?
If we, when we reach our 75, I don't believe it is. When we reach our 75, yes, we will have a waiting list. As I mentioned earlier, the way that the state requires is if it's before the deadline period, if we reach more than our maximum before the deadline, we must have a lottery system. Since we are past our deadline, we will take all students up until I-75, and then we will put the others on a waiting list for the school. Are there any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Now, the last meeting you had, I came, and it was only sixth grade that you were taking in. Is that still the same?
That's still the same. We're only taking in sixth grade this year.
Okay.
And then each year it progresses. So those sixth graders will become seventh graders, still at Promise Charter School for Excellence, and we'll bring in a new class of sixth graders.
Okay.
And then those seventh graders will become eighth graders, the sixth graders will become seventh graders, and we'll bring in a new class of sixth graders. But the intent for Promise Charter School is sixth, seventh, and eighth grades.
So
We're starting with
also
6
gonna
on.
advertise it in the newspaper, because, you know, a lot of people do read the newspaper. I mean, there's a lot of little free newspaper, little free papers that they throw that you could advertise. I mean, I know today I was looking in this, it's called the Parent Magazine.
Oh, okay, yeah, Parent Magazine.
Parent
I'm familiar with that.
Magazine. And the Parent Magazine had a list of so many schools that's in there. So when parents are looking through that, they will see that there is Promise Charter School in Linden.
Excellent.
You know, because some people might not even focus on the billboard, and if your deadline, you know,
Yeah,
started, then you really want to meet your 75 or 70 kids that you want by August, because we're talking, this is April.
Oh, no, we want to meet our 75 by June.
Yeah, so, you know,
We're going to be ready to roll in August, so we have to have all ready by June. So yes, that is an excellent idea, and we wrote that down, right? Parent Magazine, good. Yes.
You being a school just 2 years, you said you started this vision.
Yes.
Is there a model, the model that you're using for your charter school, is this piggybacking off another charter school that is using the same model, so that so that we can see if it is working? I mean, you being a brand new school, I understand the vision, I understand what you're looking for, but like anything new, there's going to be issues. So is there any type of track record or anything that you can point to that says, hey, the model that we're using, this school has been using, and you can see how good they've been doing?
The model that we're using, actually, the charter school board, what's it called? What's the charter school board?
Board of Directors.
No, not our board
Oh,
of
you mean the
directors.
charter
The actual
school advisory board? Is it the advisory board on?
the Office of Charter Schools
Charter
or something.
Schools, right,
Yes, the
yes.
State Office of Charter Schools or whatever charter school office. We are working with them. They there is a I hate to call it a model because it's not like
Because each
cookie
one is
cutter
different.
model. They're all very different. So it's not a model, but there are some elements that lead to the success of any charter school, and that the charter school board makes sure that we are filled in with those elements that meet success. So they work with all the charter schools throughout New Jersey. The New Jersey Charter School Board Association, I think is what it's called. They work with all the charter schools throughout New Jersey to ensure that all the charter schools are following those elements of success. And yes, we are working with them. They passed through all of our information. They reviewed it. We have workshops with them. We're working with them.
And I think basically that is one of their reasons. I mean, I'm not trying to.
No, please.
I think basically, if I can remember when they started, one of their reasons is that your proposal might have been 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, but usually when the state approves a charter school, if this is the way they look at it, they say we let you do one grade and then you add a grade, and they may go with 2 grades to see how successful they are going to be with their proposal and what they say they want to do. Am I right?
Yeah, they do. They look at all of that to make sure that there is success in that. And like I said, when charter schools first started out, there was not this New Jersey Charter School
Absolutely.
Board, or
No.
I don't know if I'm saying the name right. Charter School Office of Charter Schools. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know if I'm saying the name right. But when they first started out, there was not that organization. That organization came into place because the initial set of charter schools that started out, they were a mishmash of different things, and some were successful, some weren't successful. And what the state said was, we can't have all these people coming out here starting their own little thing every year and disrupting stuff and having parents moving their kids back and forth. We need to have a formula for success. And we need to make sure that before we grant a charter, that we know that they have gone through that process. And that's why it was a 2-year process for us, because they went through every aspect of our program. And they continue to be a part of every aspect of our program. Yes, I'm sorry. She had a question first.
No, this sounds very similar to, I used to work in New York City, and they had a charter school called Promise Academy on 125th Street in, Lenox. And it's the school that Jeffrey Canada works.
Oh, yes.
You know,
yes,
and
yes.
I worked with his school when they first started with 6th grade. And I was a reading specialist for his school. And to see how he started off with his 6th grade, and he had a whole, program, a curriculum that worked. And now he's up to 11th grade, and he tracks them all the way up until
Yes.
college. It's a beautiful program. I'm trying to, so I can almost understand the question that he just asked, what school are you looking to model from to see what worked?
Well, I will tell you, we've looked at just about every charter school there is in the area. Not just New Jersey, not just New York. We looked at charter schools in Chicago. We looked at charter schools all over to see what does work. And you'll see, so I'm saying that to say that you're not going to see just one charter school. This isn't the New Jersey location of Jeffrey Canada's school. This happens to be the school that takes the best from all of those schools and put it together. Because we look at some elements of Jeffrey Canada's program. We look at some elements of what's the guy here in Newark? Newark Academy no? What's Robert Treat? Thank you. Robert Treat Academy. We looked at elements of a lot of different programs and said, what will work for this environment and what's not working? Because we don't want to take what's not working. We want to take what's working and let's put them all together. So we looked at different elements.
North Star.
Yes, I don't know if I North Star Academy. Yes, I didn't want to. I hope I answered your question. I didn't want to, but it's not any one school that I can tell you this is modeled after that school.
Is it too much to answer that you can explain this second page graph on your schedule that we can get a better picture?
It's not too much to ask. Let me try to find it first. Yeah, I don't. I'm trying to see if I can see it so I can talk about it. I have a copy of it here. Can you give me a copy? Yeah, because I don't think I have a copy of it here, but I know it. I want to see it because I don't want to be making this up. Oh, okay. 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 Basically, what the calendar shows is that our school year for our students would begin on August 20th, with the teachers being in session for that 2 weeks that I told you about, that the teachers would have a professional development, a teacher retreat. They would do that the 2 weeks before in August. Of course, we would be off for Labor Day. And then September, we would have an in-service day on the 20th, so there would be no school that particular day. School would be closed on the 20th. We would have a back-to-school night where parents would have an opportunity to come to the school, specifically meet with your child's teacher, not necessarily to talk about your child's performance or how your child is doing, but really to understand what your child will be learning throughout that school year and what the curriculum is, what the expectations are. We're closed for Columbus Day in October, and we'd also be closed for a full day on the 25th and a half day on the 19th. Okay. Basically, if you look to the right of that calendar, if you look to the right where it says student days and staff days, that tells you how many days each month that child would be in school. So, for example, in the month of October, your child would be in school for 21 days. The teachers would be in school for 22 days. In November, we would be closed for Election Day. We'd also be closed for Thanksgiving. Oh, what happened to my, I don't have,
No, you don't have
I don't have November and December.
Right.
But, but I know we're closed for Thanksgiving. I'm missing a page on mine. But that's basically what it shows. So if you look at the chart, it'll show you what days the school is closed. But most importantly for you is looking to the right. It'll show you how many days that child's in school for that month. Okay.
And the first day of school was what?
The first day of school will be August 20th. Yes, ma'am.
Did you come up with the location, is it still being planned out, or do we have any idea? When's the deadline to find exactly what it is? Do we have a deadline?
Yes, we do have a deadline because I told you we have a school. We are still in the process of we're still in negotiations on a couple of sites in both Elizabeth and Linden. We have not finalized those negotiations, and that's why we haven't told you exactly where we're going to be. We expect to have something within the next month or so, within 30 days, within the next 30 days. We expect to have that locked in.
Because you want to have all your inspection and all that.
Exactly. Well, we have to. That's why we do have a deadline, because we have to have inspection, all of those things, before we can even open up. So, and all that has to be done by June. Yes.
According to the charter that I received from the State Department of Education, it said that you were supposed to begin this school year with 75 sixth graders, and then next year you're supposed to be having 75 sixth graders and seventh graders.
That's correct.
In the following years. What happened to this school year?
What do you mean?
Have you started with the sixth graders this year?
No. We took the first year as a planning year. So we're starting in August of 2012.
Okay, so your charter is a 4-year charter. Does that mean now that because you took this as a charter year instead of actual implementation year, which was in your plan, original plan, does that mean that you are going to be less year in terms of getting to that 4th year? So what
No.
I'm saying,
They allow us 1 year for a planning year, and we decided to take this year as a planning year. We did not want to rush things last year because, for those of you who don't know, our charter was approved in February of 2011, and we felt that was a very short period of time to try to do the quality job that we needed to do to open up the school.
But I thought they said it was approved.
Yes, it was approved 2011.
2011.
Yes.
But I thought, if I'm remembering right, I thought it said it was going to open 2012.
We originally we didn't know how long it was going to take for us to get the charter. So when we put our first package together, we were looking at opening in 2011. But since the charter was approved in February of 2011, it wasn't enough time, and that's why we took 1 year as a planning year. So we'll be opening in August of 2012.
So actually, it would be a 4-year charter or a 3-year charter.
It's a 3-year charter.
So, okay, the next question I had was, the children will bring their lunch to school with them, or will you have?
We will apply for the Department of Agriculture food program. Yes, the food program. We will definitely apply for the food program. Given the area that we're in, we do expect that a large percentage of our children will be eligible for the for the free lunch program, and so we will be using that.
So when will the parents get a chance to take a tour through the buildings and things? I mean, we're in April already now. You only have a couple more months left. You're going to open up in August, and I would want, as a parent, take a tour through facilities and see what the classroom sizes look like, see what kind of curriculum you're offering. How would I get a chance to do that with this late date? You don't know what to say yet.
We would expect that, like I mentioned earlier, we expect to be able to conclude our negotiations on our location within the next 30 days, and then you would be able to come in and view the facilities. As far as curriculum and things are concerned, we can talk about those things at any time.
Okay, I'm sorry, Dr. West, since you are the superintendent for Roselle,
Yes.
is it possible that you can tell the parents of the 5th grade students that it's going to be a charter school and you can't? Is that illegal to
That's
you?
not my responsibility, no.
Is that your responsibility?
That's the charter schools. We're servicing the same kids, so I'm not trying to get rid of my kids to send them to charter schools and to choice schools and to Catholic schools. I'm trying to provide them with an education to the point where they don't need to go to charter schools or Catholic schools or private schools. So I wouldn't be trying to send my kids out to other areas.
Yeah, but I understand exactly what you're saying, and I had my son that went to the Magnet High School, and as a matter of fact, he got that information from the borough of Roselle. So that's why I'm asking you, because in the past, that's what they have done. So since the charter school doesn't have the number that they need and they're still looking, I don't think it's gonna be a problem for them to fill it. But, you know, from my experience, having a son that went through Roselle school system, it was done then, and I'm not sure if they're practicing the same thing now, so that's why I'm asking that since you are the superintendent.
We don't send out.
Okay, all right, thank you so much.
As I mentioned earlier, the charter school is not a replacement for any of the public school systems. We are an alternative to the system that they have there, and there's no system that meets the requirements of every student. And so as a parent, and as a diligent parent, the parent needs to see what's all available so that they can make the choice that's best for their child. Not trying to say this is no good and this one is good. We're all a part of the public school system, the charter schools and the district schools.
But most of the charter schools, classroom sizes are much smaller than the regular public schools.
Well, the charter schools have leeway to do some things that the public schools can't do, because as I mentioned earlier, they're privately managed. So they have some leeway to do some things that the public schools can't do, that the district schools can't do. But it's not, I'm not making a better or worse. It is just a matter of choice. As I mentioned earlier, you are the one that's responsible for the education of your child. The school, be it the charter school, a private school, a Catholic school, a district school, the school is a tool that you will use to help educate your child that you are responsible for. I thank you all. If there are no more questions, for coming out. Myself and some others will be around if you have any other individual questions. Thank you.